Have you ever been in a conversation where suddenly the words stop coming? One moment you're talking, laughing, and everything feels fine. And then, silence takes over. The air feels heavy. You look around, pretending to think about something important. You smile nervously, hoping the other person will say something first. But they don't. And in that moment, your mind goes completely blank. It's like every interesting thing you've ever known just vanished from your brain. You try to think of something clever to say, something that will keep the conversation alive. But nothing comes out. Maybe it happens during a first date, when you want to make a good impression. You feel the pressure to sound smart, funny, or charming. But instead, you end up overthinking every word. The silence between you grows louder, and the more you try to escape it, the more awkward it feels. Or maybe it happens at work, when you're talking to your boss or a colleague. You start well, but suddenly the conversation dies, and you start worrying. Do I sound boring? Did I say something wrong? Even with friends, sometimes it happens. You've said everything you can think of, and now you're just sitting there, both of you checking your phones, pretending not to notice the awkwardness. That kind of silence feels louder than any sound. It's uncomfortable because it reminds us of our fear. The fear of not being enough, of not knowing what to say, of being judged. But here's the truth. It happens to everyone. Even the most confident, charismatic people experience those silent moments. The difference is not that they never run out of things to say. It's that they know what to do when it happens. They don't panic. They don't rush to fill the silence. Instead, they use that moment to connect, to shift the energy, to turn awkwardness into opportunity. And today, my friend, you'll learn exactly how to do the same. Once you understand this simple skill, you'll never fear silence again, because you'll know how to turn it into your strength. Why we feel awkward. Let's start with the truth. Awkwardness doesn't really begin in the conversation itself. It begins inside your mind. The moment you start talking to someone, especially someone you want to impress, your focus slowly turns inward. Instead of thinking about the conversation, you start thinking about yourself. You start asking silent questions. Am I sounding boring? Do they like me? Did I say something stupid just now? Should I smile more? Should I say something funny? These thoughts may seem small, but they create a huge pressure inside you. Suddenly, you're no longer relaxed. You're no longer being yourself. You're performing. And when you perform instead of connect, everything starts to feel unnatural. Your mind, trying to help you avoid embarrassment, begins to shut down. It's as if your brain says, "Let's not say anything wrong. Let's just stay quiet." But silence doesn't save you. It only makes you feel more uncomfortable. So you panic and try to fill the gap with random words. Something, anything, just to end the silence. But those words often come out forced or meaningless, and then you feel even more awkward. It's a cycle. You overthink, you freeze, you panic, and then you overthink again. The truth is, you're not actually bad at talking. You're just too focused on yourself. The more attention you give to how you appear, the less you can focus on the other person. Real confidence in conversation doesn't come from knowing the perfect words. It comes from genuine curiosity. Confident communicators don't ask, "What should I say?" They ask, "What can I discover about this person?" They treat every conversation as a chance to learn, not to impress. And that small shift from self-focus to curiosity changes everything. When you stop trying to sound interesting and start trying to be interested, the awkwardness fades. Suddenly, the silence becomes space, not stress, and you find yourself enjoying the conversation instead of surviving it. The simple game. The curiosity game. When you run out of things to say, don't panic. Don't try to sound smarter than you feel. Don't force a joke or pretend to be someone you're not. Most people think that good communication means always having something clever to say. But that's not true. The real secret to keeping a conversation alive is not about being impressive. It's about being curious. That's why I call this simple method the curiosity game. It's not really a game you play with rules. It's a mindset you practice every time you talk to someone. Here's how it works. Imagine that the other person's life is like a movie, and you are watching it for the very first time. You don't know what will happen next, but you want to find out. Your job is not to perform. It's to learn about their story. Think like a curious traveler visiting a new country. Everything they say is a clue about who they are, what they care about, and how they see the world. Instead of trying to find the perfect response, ask yourself a simple question. What part of their story haven't I discovered yet? That one question can open hundreds of doors in your mind. For example, if someone talks about their job, don't just nod politely or say, "That's nice." Go deeper. Ask, "How did you get into that?" Or, "What's your favorite part about what you do?" Or even, "What's something people usually get wrong about your work?" These questions may seem small, but they show real interest. And when people feel that you're truly interested in them, they begin to relax. They start opening up. The pressure to talk disappears because now the focus is no longer on you. It's on them. And the funny thing is, when you stop trying to be interesting and start being genuinely curious, you become far more interesting without even trying. Why this game works. Human beings love to talk about themselves. It's simply how we're built. We all carry stories, dreams, fears, and memories inside us, waiting for someone to care enough to ask about them. But in today's fast world, that rarely happens. Most people don't really listen. They only wait for their turn to speak. You can almost see it. Someone nodding while you talk, but their eyes are already planning their next sentence. That kind of listening doesn't create connection. It creates distance. But when someone truly listens, not just to your words, but to your emotions, something powerful happens. You feel understood. You feel seen. And that's one of the deepest human needs. That's why the curiosity game works so beautifully. When you play it, you give people something they don't get often. Genuine attention. You stop thinking about what you'll say next, and instead, you explore who they are. You ask questions not because you have to, but because you're honestly interested. And that simple act of curiosity transforms the energy between you. The other person begins to smile more. Their body relaxes. They stop guarding themselves. The walls of awkwardness slowly disappear because now, both of you are sharing a real moment, not just exchanging words. You don't have to be funny, charming, or perfect to do this. You just have to be curious. Curiosity is like sunlight. It warms up even the coldest silence. It turns small talk into meaningful conversation. And here's the best part. People may not remember every word you say, but they will never forget how you made them feel. That feeling of being heard, valued, and understood is what makes a conversation unforgettable. When you learn to give that feeling to others, you'll never fear awkward moments again, because you'll always know how to turn them into connection. Rule number 1. Shift from performance to presence. Most people treat conversations as if they're on stage. They believe they need to perform, to say something impressive, to entertain, or to sound intelligent. From the moment they start talking, they carry this invisible pressure to prove their worth through their words. That pressure makes them self-conscious, and self-consciousness kills connection. You can almost feel it when someone is trying too hard. Their smile feels rehearsed. Their responses sound mechanical. The flow of the conversation disappears because they are focused on performing, not connecting. But here's the truth. The best conversations don't come from performance. They come from presence. Presence is the art of being fully here, in this moment, with the person in front of you. It's not about planning your next line or worrying about sounding smart. It's about allowing yourself to truly listen, to feel the rhythm of the moment, and to respond naturally. Presence means using not just your ears, but your heart. It means noticing the small things, the tone in their voice, the spark or sadness in their eyes, the energy in their body language. These are silent clues that tell you more than words ever could. Try this the next time you talk to someone. Don't think about what to say. Just look at them. Watch how they express themselves. Listen not only to their words, but also to their emotions. When you stop trying to control the conversation and simply experience it, your mind relaxes. And when your mind relaxes, words flow naturally. You don't need a script. Your curiosity and attention guide you. That's the magic of presence. It turns ordinary talks into meaningful connections, because people don't remember those who perform well. They remember those who make them feel truly heard. Rule number 2. Turn the spotlight around. Let me share something simple but powerful with you. Imagine 2 people standing at a party. The music is playing, people are laughing, and these 2 are having a conversation. The first person keeps talking about himself. His job, his success, the new car he bought, the cities he's traveled to. He's confident, loud, and full of stories. The second person nods politely at first, pretending to be interested. But soon, you can see it. Their eyes begin to wander. They're no longer engaged. Why? Because one person has kept the spotlight entirely on himself. The conversation feels like a one-man show instead of a shared experience. Now imagine the same scene again. The same person is talking, but this time, something changes. After sharing one story, he smiles and says, "Hey, what about you? What's the most interesting place you've been to?" In that instant, everything shifts. The listener straightens up, their eyes light up, and they begin to share their own story. The energy between them transforms. It's no longer one-sided. Both people feel seen, heard, and connected. That's the invisible power of turning the spotlight around. When you feel awkward in a conversation, it's often because the spotlight is stuck on you. You're thinking, how do I sound? Am I saying the right thing? Do they like me? That kind of thinking creates anxiety and makes you overanalyze every word. But the moment you shift the spotlight to the other person, when you focus on their stories, their opinions, their experiences. Something magical happens. You stop being anxious and start being curious. You feel lighter, calmer, and more engaged. The pressure disappears because the attention is no longer on your performance. And in that space, real connection grows naturally. Turning the spotlight around doesn't just save a conversation, it transforms it. Rule number 3. Use the follow the thread technique. Every good conversation is like a piece of fabric. It's woven together by tiny threads. Each sentence, each detail someone shares, gives you a new thread to explore. But most people don't notice them. They hear something interesting, smile, and move on too quickly. That's why conversations often die out too soon. The secret to keeping a conversation flowing naturally is simple. Follow the thread. This means paying attention to small details in what people say and then gently pulling on them to see where they lead. For example, imagine someone tells you, "I started reading a new book recently." Most people would respond with, "Oh, nice," or "That's great," and then go silent. That kind of answer closes the door instead of opening it. But if you follow the thread, you dig a little deeper. You could ask, "What kind of book is it?" Or, "Why did you choose that one?" Or, "Is there something interesting you've learned from it?" These questions show curiosity, and curiosity gives the other person permission to share more. Suddenly, you're not just talking, you're exploring their world. This technique works with anything: books, hobbies, jobs, travel, or even small comments about daily life. Every statement people make has a hidden story behind it. All you have to do is notice it. When you follow the thread, conversations grow naturally, like branches of a tree. One idea leads to another, and before you know it, the silence has disappeared. Most awkward silences happen because people cut the thread too early. They give short answers, change topics too fast, or forget to ask the next question. But when you stay curious and keep following the thread, you keep the energy alive. That's how small talk turns into real talk, and strangers turn into connections. Rule number 4. Be honest when you don't know what to say. One of the biggest fears people have in conversations is running out of things to say. They panic, thinking that silence means failure, that they've somehow broken the flow. But here's a truth that will surprise you. You don't always have to know what to say. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is simply be honest about it. Instead of pretending to know something you don't, or forcing a fake response, try being real. You can say, "That's interesting. I actually don't know much about that." Or, "I'm not sure what to say, but I'd love to hear more about your view." These small, genuine statements build trust faster than trying to sound clever ever could. Honesty brings air into the conversation. It relaxes both people. When you admit you don't know, it shows that you're confident enough to be real. It tells the other person that you value truth over performance. Most people are tired of surface-level talks where everyone tries to look smart. What they truly crave is authenticity, a real human connection. When you speak honestly, you invite that kind of connection. You're no longer performing, you're participating. Think about it. When someone admits they don't know something, do you judge them? Probably not. In fact, it often makes you like them more. It makes the conversation more natural, more human. You might even find that the other person appreciates your honesty and starts sharing more openly too. So the next time you feel stuck or blank in a conversation, don't panic. Just breathe and be honest. It's okay to say, I'm not sure about that. Or, that's a new idea to me. Because when you stop pretending and start being real, you'll realize connection doesn't come from perfection. It comes from honesty. Rule number 5. Play the question chain. One of the simplest yet most effective ways to keep a conversation alive is what I like to call the question chain. It's a little game you can play whenever your mind goes blank or silence starts to creep in. The idea is simple. Ask a question that shows genuine interest, listen carefully to the answer, and then let that answer guide your next question. You don't need to prepare lines, clever jokes, or impressive facts. All you need is curiosity and attentiveness. The chain of questions naturally keeps the conversation moving, and it feels effortless for both people. Here's an example. You might start by asking, "What do you usually do on weekends?" If they answer, "I like cooking and watching movies," you don't stop there. Instead, you follow the chain. "Oh, what kind of movies do you enjoy most?" And when they reply, "Mostly thrillers," you can ask, "Nice. Have you seen any good ones recently?" Each question flows from the previous answer, creating a natural rhythm. Notice how this works. You never have to force the conversation, and the other person feels heard and valued because you're genuinely interested in their responses. The beauty of this technique is that it turns conversation into a dance rather than an interview. There's a rhythm, a give and take. You ask, they answer, you respond, they continue. And the dialogue grows organically. There's no awkward pause where you feel pressured to think of something clever. Instead, you simply follow the chain, step by step, exploring the other person's thoughts, experiences, and feelings. Over time, these small question chains can lead to deeper, meaningful conversations. The question chain is a powerful tool because it replaces anxiety with curiosity and silence with connection. It's simple, natural, and surprisingly effective. A little game that can transform every conversation you have. Rule number 6. Make it about energy, not words. Words are important, of course, but if you want to master conversations, you need to understand this. Energy matters even more than words. Have you ever spoken to someone who seemed to say all the right things, used perfect grammar, and sounded intelligent, yet you still felt uncomfortable or disconnected? That's because their energy didn't match their words. The tone, body language, and emotional presence of a person communicate far more than the words themselves. When your energy is off, tense, anxious, or distracted, even the smartest sentences can feel hollow. The key to effortless conversations is learning to speak with warmth, curiosity, and calm confidence. When your energy is positive and open, even silence between sentences feels comfortable. You don't need to fill every pause with words. In fact, trying to talk nonstop often makes the conversation worse because it signals nervousness or self-consciousness. Instead, focus on creating an atmosphere where the other person feels safe, relaxed, and valued. Your energy can say, "I am interested in you. I enjoy talking with you. You can be yourself here." People don't remember every detail you said, but they always remember how you made them feel. They remember your smile, your gaze, the way you leaned in slightly to listen, or the calmness in your voice. That's the essence of real communication. The invisible cues that create trust, warmth, and connection. When you focus on your energy rather than just your words, awkward silences fade away. Conversations flow naturally because you are not just speaking. You are sharing presence. You are making the other person feel seen and comfortable, which is far more powerful than any clever line or joke. In short, master your energy and you master connection. Words follow naturally when your energy is right. Rule number 7. Use stories instead of facts. Facts are important, but in conversation, facts alone rarely spark connection. When people share only facts, I went to work, I watched a movie, or I went shopping, the dialogue often feels flat and forgettable. Facts give information, but they don't give feeling. They don't create curiosity or emotion. On the other hand, stories breathe life into conversation. A story has a beginning, middle, and end. It has characters, challenges, and sometimes even humor. It invites the listener into your world, letting them experience your thoughts and feelings rather than just hearing about them. For example, if someone asks you, "How was your weekend?" A simple "good" is honest, but it doesn't engage the other person. A story, however, transforms the conversation. "It was great. I went to the lake with my friends and something funny happened. We tried to cook on a small grill and it went completely wrong, but we laughed the whole time." That small story creates curiosity, amusement, and connection. The listener can picture the scene, feel the humor, and even relate to your experience. Stories naturally invite the other person to share their own, turning a simple question into a meaningful exchange. The power of stories lies in emotion. Facts inform, but emotions connect. People respond to feeling more than data. So instead of trying to impress by sounding smart or knowledgeable, focus on sounding human. Share experiences, even small ones. Ask for stories in return. What's the funniest thing that happened to you this week? Have you ever tried something like that? These questions encourage narrative, keep the conversation flowing, and create genuine connection. Humans are wired for stories, and when you use them in conversation, silence disappears, awkwardness fades, and people feel closer to you almost instantly. Stories don't just tell, they connect, inspire, and make every conversation memorable. Rule number 8. Use the power of shared experience. One of the fastest ways to dissolve awkwardness in a conversation is by discovering shared experiences. When two people realize they have something in common, a natural bridge forms between them, and suddenly the dialogue becomes effortless. Think about it. Even strangers can feel instantly connected when they discover a mutual interest, hobby, or passion. That sense of "me too" creates warmth, understanding, and trust. It's as if you found a secret pathway to their world, and they feel seen because you share a part of it. For example, imagine someone says, "I really love music." Instead of nodding politely or changing the topic, you can respond with genuine excitement. "Really? I love music too. What kind do you enjoy?" That simple acknowledgement instantly shifts the energy. The spotlight moves from performance or nervousness to connection and curiosity. From there, the conversation flows naturally. You start sharing favorites, experiences at concerts, memories tied to songs, and maybe even funny stories related to music. That small common point suddenly gives both of you endless material to explore, and the silence that once felt heavy disappears. Shared experiences aren't limited to hobbies or interests. They can be anything. Food you both love, dreams you both have, challenges you've faced, or even fears you've experienced. It's about finding that human thread that links your lives together. While listening, pay attention to cues that hint at common ground. The moment you spot it, lean into it. Ask questions, relate your own experiences, or simply express enthusiasm. The magic happens because humans connect through recognition and relatability. That shared feeling of, "I understand you," or "I've been there too," instantly transforms awkward pauses into flowing, heartfelt conversation. By using the power of shared experience, you create connection, trust, and ease. The perfect antidote to awkwardness. Rule number 9. Be comfortable with silence. This rule might sound counterintuitive, but here's the truth. Silence isn't always bad. Most people fear silence because they think it means failure, awkwardness, or that the conversation is over. They rush to fill every pause with words, often saying things that feel forced or meaningless. But the reality is, silence only feels awkward when you resist it. When you accept it and stay calm, it loses its power to make you anxious. In fact, silence can become a space of comfort, reflection, and connection. Learning to be at ease in silence is a sign of real confidence. It shows that you are present, grounded, and comfortable in your own skin. You don't need to rush to impress or entertain. Instead, take a moment. Breathe, smile, and simply observe the conversation or the environment. Maybe glance around the room, notice something small, or take a casual sip of your drink. This pause allows both you and the other person to relax. Often, during these moments, a new topic naturally arises. Your mind starts noticing things you might have missed, and the conversation flows again. But this time, more naturally and effortlessly. When you stop fearing silence, you also stop forcing words. You stop overthinking your next sentence, trying too hard to sound interesting, or worrying about making a perfect impression. The pressure fades, and the conversation becomes more authentic. Other people pick up on this energy too. When you're calm in silence, they feel comfortable as well. It's a ripple effect. Your confidence spreads without a single word. Remember, real communication isn't measured by how much you talk, but by how present, relaxed, and genuine you are. By learning to embrace silence, you turn moments that once caused panic into opportunities for connection, thought, and ease. The more comfortable you are with silence, the more confident and magnetic your conversations become. Rule number 10. Always leave people better than you found them. Every conversation you have is more than just an exchange of words. It's an opportunity. But here's the key. The goal is not to impress or show off your knowledge. The goal is to leave people better than you found them. Think about the people who stick in your memory. Chances are, it's not because they were the smartest or the funniest, but because after talking with them, you felt lighter, happier, or more understood. That is the kind of impact you want to create in every conversation. You don't need to give advice or teach a lesson. Sometimes all it takes is a small gesture of attention or kindness. Maybe you make them laugh with a light-hearted comment. Maybe you simply listen deeply and make them feel heard, like their thoughts and feelings actually matter. Maybe you offer a sincere compliment, not flattery, but something genuine about them or their actions. These small actions ripple outward, creating warmth and connection that people remember long after the conversation ends. The principle is simple. Focus on the energy you leave behind. Each interaction is like planting a seed. If you nurture it with curiosity, empathy, and authenticity, it can grow into trust, friendship, and lasting connection. People remember how you made them feel more than anything you said. And when you consistently leave people better than you found them, conversations stop being stressful or awkward. They become moments of genuine connection. This mindset transforms not only your social life but also your personal growth. By the end of the day, it's not about the perfect words or clever stories you shared. It's about the feeling you gave others. Make people feel valued, understood, and uplifted, and you will naturally become someone unforgettable. That is the true art of conversation. The hidden lesson. Connection is an art. My friend, here's a truth that will change the way you think about conversations. Communication is not about perfect grammar, clever jokes, or having the right answer at the right time. Those things might make a conversation smooth on the surface, but they don't create real connection. Connection is what makes people remember you, what makes them want to spend time with you, and what transforms awkward silence into meaningful dialogue. The goal of every conversation is not to speak more. It is to connect more deeply. It's about presence, curiosity, and genuine interest in the other person. When you stop worrying about filling the silence and start focusing on understanding the person in front of you, something magical happens. Your energy changes. You stop performing, and instead, you engage. People begin to feel your presence, your warmth, and your attention. They enjoy talking to you not because of the words you say, but because of the space you create for them. That space, calm, attentive, and curious, is what makes you magnetic. People naturally gravitate towards someone who makes them feel seen and heard. And here's the beautiful realization. The fear of awkwardness was never truly about what you said. It was about confidence. When you lack confidence, every pause feels heavy, every silence feels threatening, and every word feels like a test. But confidence grows when you practice connection over performance. Every time you play the curiosity game, every time you follow a thread, every time you shift the spotlight, you strengthen your ability to be present. Slowly, you learn that awkward moments are not failures. They are opportunities to practice connection. With each conversation, you grow more confident, more authentic, and more at ease. And as that confidence grows, the fear of awkwardness fades away. You discover that connection is not a skill you perfect once. It's an art you refine every day, and the more you play the game, the more natural it becomes. Final words. Turn every conversation into a connection. My friend, life is full of conversations. With friends, family, colleagues, strangers, and even yourself. Every interaction is more than just words. It is an opportunity. Each conversation is a chance to learn something new, to grow, and to connect on a deeper level. Yet so often we let fear get in the way. We worry about silence, about running out of words, or about sounding uninteresting. But here's the truth. Silence is not the enemy, and running out of words is not a failure. These moments are simply openings, invitations to slow down, observe, and engage in a more meaningful way. When you stop worrying about what to say next, you start noticing what truly matters. The human connection behind every word. You start listening with curiosity, asking thoughtful questions, and caring genuinely about the person in front of you. That is when awkward pauses transform into spaces of understanding, laughter, or shared reflection. So the next time you find yourself unsure what to say, don't panic. Smile. Take a breath. Play the curiosity game. Follow the threads of conversation, ask questions that invite stories, and show that you genuinely care. With practice, you'll find that what once felt awkward now feels natural, even enjoyable. Remember, the best conversations aren't perfect. They are real. People won't remember every word you said, but they will remember how you made them feel. That's the true magic of communication. My friend, this is English Achieve reminding you. Communication is not about talking more. It's about connecting better. Keep learning, keep growing, and above all, keep speaking from the heart. When you approach every conversation this way, silence will never scare you, awkwardness will never stop you, and every exchange will become an opportunity to create connection that lasts.